Hi, this is Scott with Etrailer, and today we're going to be taking a look at and installing our Curt 4-pole wiring for our 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Your 4-pole wiring is going to keep you legal. Say you're pulling a trailer, you're going to have your lighting, so this is what's going to get it done for you. It's going to give you your signals like your left turn and your right turn. It's going to give you your brakes and your running lights, and you got to have all that if you're going to be pulling a trailer. You got to keep legal. So with this, it can be a little tricky to install. We did it when we were putting a hitch on this one, so we had the fascia off, and it also makes it a little easier for you guys to see. If it's something you really don't want to mess with installing, you can always take a look at our dealer locator and get something done locally. But if it's something you want to try and tackle yourself, stick around, watch our video, and we'll help you get it done. To start with our installation of our 4-pole wiring, we just want to get a good location of where we're going to put our box. So we decided we're going to go right in here, and that's going to give us enough room to run our wire over to our driver's side where we need to go. And we are starting on the passenger side. So our green wires are going to come up through here, and those are going to go up and meet up with our taillight housings. For now, what we're going to do is we're just going to get them run up in place, and we're just going to leave them sitting there. Now for this installation, we do have our bumper off just because we are installing a hitch and we had to remove the rear bumper fascia to do so. So this is going to be the easiest way for us to show you how to get it routed and wired up. Now that we have our wiring all figured out and where we're going to go with it, I'm going to go ahead and mount our box. So now I decided to have a good spot for it is going to be right here. So I'm just going to take a self-tapper and run it in. Now we're right here as well. We're going to figure out where we're going to run our ground. Our black wire is going to need to go forward, so we'll get that out of the way and just run it down for now and have it put there, because that is going to be running forward for our positive to our battery up in the front of the vehicle. Now our 4-pole wire is going to go up under and just have it so something holds it up under there. So I have a little bracket, I'm going above that, and it's just going to run over to where it's going to be there, and we'll just leave that hang for now. Now with our yellow wire, that can also run over, and that's going to run over to the driver's side. Now keep in mind, if you're doing this with your bumper installed, say you already have a receiver in place, you can do this with your bumper on. You'll just have to run a fish wire down through the pocket of your bumper and down, and just run like a fish wire, a piece of clothes hanger or something down, and tape your wire to that and pull it up through. Now since we had some extra length on our ground wire here, we're just going to bundle it up a little bit and run a zip tie through it. Just to keep that up and out of the way. We can always tuck it behind something and make it a little bit cleaner installation. Now we're going to set up our positive wire that's going to run to the front of the vehicle. So what we have is we've stripped our wire off a little bit here, and we have a heat shrink butt connector. We're just going to get that popped in place. Now this heat shrink butt connector will not come with your kit. You can get them here at Etrailer. I recommend them because they're going to help keep out any moisture and corrosion out of your wiring. It's just a really good upgrade to set it up for longevity. So with that crimped in place, now we can go to the black wire on our control box here. And that one is also stripped back and ready to go. We'll just get it put on there and crimp it down as well. After you crimp them, just give them a little tug, make sure they're good and tight. Now we can come back with a heat gun and shrink this down. Kind of want to go until you get most of the little bubbles out. And once that happens, you'll start seeing a little gel come out of that end. That is what you want to see. Our power wire came out of the module, goes down here to where we made our connection, ran it down over, ran on top of our heat shield here for our exhaust. We came over, ran through this section of the body that goes over our subframe here, then it comes over, goes over our frame, zip tied to that so it stays on top of this and doesn't get down into any of our moving parts. Then we came over and around. Over here, just above the top of the tank. Come over here where we were able to meet up with a factory wiring harness. We started running down that and we followed that all the way up to the front under our little skid plate here. Then after we come out here, maintained our line with our factory harness and then ran up to the top. Now we can get it back down on the ground and we'll get it run up to our battery. Now that we have our line run up here where we want it to be, we've got it all zipped off and it's all tight and everything's run. Now we're going to go ahead and get our fuse holder set up. It is going to come pre-stripped off, but I like to get a little more than that, so I'll take a little more off of the ends. Just to make sure I get a good bite on it. With that, we can get our ring terminal crimped on real quick. Little tug, make sure it's good and tight. And the other end, we'll go ahead and strip that off while we're at it. Now we can figure out how much line we want. I like to leave a little bit extra, so I'll keep it where I can loop it back. That way I have room, plus I can leave a little extra. Snip that off. Now we can just crimp that onto our power wire. Now we'll take our heat gun and get it shrunk down. Now here we have our jumper post that comes out of our box. We're just going to hook directly to that. Just want to back it loose. And be careful not to touch anything as far as like other metal parts when you're messing with these, especially with your wrench. Now we'll just connect our line. Loop our wire down out of the way. Just tuck it down in there. Now we got to make sure our cover can close. And it does. Now we'll just leave our fuse holder here without our fuse until we get everything connected in the back. Now our hitch receiver does have a tab where we can mount our 4-pole wiring here. So you can kind of take a look at the different bracket options that there are for these. This one's just our simple plain bracket. So we're just going to go ahead and get that installed so we can move on to getting our rear fascia reinstalled. Now we can pop our 4-pole into our mount. It's really just a pressure fit. Just want to get the bottom of it to go in. And just kind of push it through and get it to pop into place. Now you can get your wire all tied up and zip tied up out of the way. Now that you have your 4-pole in place, you can take your rubber boot and pop it on and cover it up, and that's going to help prevent corrosion. In each one of our taillight pockets, we're going to take our factory vehicle side of our wiring, and we're going to have our pigtail that comes out of our wiring harness for our 4-pole lighting. What we're going to do is just plug those in. Make sure you get a good audible click and push your red tab down. We're going to do that on both sides. Now we'll just tuck that back in place until we're ready to put our taillight in. Now with an extra set of hands, we'll get our fascia put back in place. But first we need to remember to plug in our wiring harness that we unplugged. Just match up your clip ends, pop it in place. Make sure you get connected well. Kind of get everything to pop back in place. Now we can go ahead and get our tail lights reinstalled. We're just going to take our pigtail from our wiring and get it popped in place. Yeah, got a good audible click. Tuck our wires down. And pop it back in place and reinstall our star bit nut. Now we can pop our plastic trim piece back in place. Now that we have the tail lights all put back and everything's all plugged in, now we can go ahead and pop in our fuse. Push it down, get it to seat, and we'll cover it up. Get that tucked in, out of the way. Now we'll just test our lights. We'll turn our headlights on, and we're good there. Now we'll do our left turn and right turn. Then we'll turn lights back to auto and brakes, and all of them are working. With everything working and checked out, that'll do it for our installation of our Curt 4-pole wiring for our 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee.